Every once in a while, I run across a random bit of embroidery that I did forever ago, and I don't know what to do with it. At first, I thought I would make pouches like what I did with this guy, but I'm going to change that out. I'm going to try something different, but first, let's fill this guy in. He'll be more useful that way. So I've thrown my guy on a hoop, and it's probably the same hoop that I used to actually embroider this guy. Ooh, I don't know how many years ago. These were just random things that I would embroider while I was working a night shift. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in around him to give him a better shape. And then I will see how far out I come out, if I make it like a big circle or if I just fill him in a little bit so he's not so flappy. We'll see how it goes. So I've gone around and I've actually just backstitched around the outside of my little embroidery thing, and you can actually see that it's inside out. If you look closely, you can see it's kind of a little bit messy. So I'm just going to continue doing that. I think what I'm going to do is continue down here a little bit, and then I will flip it inside out, and then I'm going to go around and tack it down a little bit more. And then I'm going to see what I have to fill this thing with. All right. I finished backstitching this guy, and I've flipped him inside out. So that's the fabric that I had before. It's a little rough around the edges because I can see I might have gone a little bit fast. Because of how weird the embroidery is, it doesn't flip as well as I should have. I should have given it a little bit more room, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and I'm just going to go and stitch along the side just to reinforce it. And then I will find something to stuff this guy with. It took me about 30 seconds to change my mind about sewing around the edge already. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start stuffing this thing already. And what I'm using are these things, because I still have a ton of them and I don't really feel like going out to get those little plastic pellets for weighted blankets. So I'm just going to slowly stuff some of them in here. I'm actually using the ones that are cracked and not as good, and fortunately I was smart enough to leave a big enough hole. And I'm just going to slowly fill this guy up so he moves in, and then all the cracked ones that I can't use for other crafts I'm just going to put in there, and he will be pretty heavy by the time I'm done. And I'm going to end up using up a bunch of things that I wouldn't have been able to use. And then when I'm done, I'll go around and like clean up the edges a little bit. I have finished sewing around this guy, and it's actually fairly solid. The only thing I don't like is I kind of wish I would have thought ahead, and instead of going with like this color, I would have gone with black, because I just think it would look cleaner. And those little beads are actually working really well. It's nice and heavy. He's fun to play with. Pretty solid. So I'm going to go again, and I'm going to make another one with this guy. But instead of using the fabric that I had before, I'm actually going to see if I can't find some black fabric to go on the back, because I think it will look cleaner and just give me a better looking thing. Doesn't really matter because it's a pattern weight. No, but you know, it's nice to make pretty things, right? Right. I've gone into my bin and I found this cute little scrap of, it's fake wool. It's not real wool. But I love the dappled little colors in here. There's a bunch of different ones. So that's what I'm using for the outline on this guy. And I just realized I never showed anybody where I got my neat little characters from. I have had this book for ever. Yeah, I think I've had it for a couple decades, honestly. Oh man, kind of dated myself. And they're just iron-on transfers. I don't even know if Dover makes this book anymore. But it's been fantastic, and there's a bunch of patterns to do. And even the ones that come in the corners, let's see if I can show an example of one. There we go. See this corner template pattern? This thing is fantastic for testing out on almost anything. So sometimes if I'm trying to figure out if I want to embroider something, I'll actually trace this guy out and see how quick it takes for me to do the embroidery instead of doing it all and then hating my life. So really cute book. It's from the Dover Needlework series, and if you want an iron-on transfer, these things are adorable. I'm finding that using something that is a more regular shape as opposed to whatever shape you want to call this, bird shape, yeah, sure, actually made it a lot easier to sew around the edges, and it just looks cleaner. So now I'm going to try stuffing it. Alright, let's flip this thing inside out, which is my least favorite of things. I hate flipping things inside out. I really do. I feel like there has to be like a fancy way of doing this, and that no matter what you do to make the hole like the length that it's supposed to be or the size that it's supposed to be, it always flips funny. But this is going a lot better than the bird did. And I am actually going to use good old other end of my seam ripper to push those corners out. Hey, it's starting to look a little bit better. The other thing it's a little bit difficult when you're using mixed fibers like this is I'm not entirely sure how friendly this would be with an iron. So I'm not doing that. I'm just going to use my fingers to pinch it down the way it should be. Strange in this corner. There we go. It's not bad. I promise that it will look better once I actually sew the top shut. So let's fill this thing. I'm just going to use these at random. Why am I using these? I didn't feel like going to the store to put other things. I know you can fill bean bags with like rice and beans, you know, hence beans bags. But I don't really use these for very much anymore, so I'm just going to stuff them until I feel that it's heavy enough to be a good pattern weight and that I don't hate the shape. Let's see. It's actually pretty heavy already. I'm going to put some more in, and I'm going to pick some of the smaller ones out of this bin now. Maybe some of the ones I don't have matching colors for anymore. Yeah, this one is actually quite a bit heavier than the other one already. Alright. That's fairly heavy. I think that's going to work, so now I'm just going to sew the top. I have made two. So the first was Bird Dude. This was, I think this was actually a bed sheet that I used for a mock-up of a costume a long time ago. And then this guy that I actually put that mixed wool fiber that has those really fun little dapply bits on it. And they're both going to be great little pattern weights. And they're bits of embroidery that I had no idea what to do with. So there's your answer. If you're learning how to embroider something and you don't know what to do with the result and you really, really like it, save it. Turn them into pattern weights or bean bags or something. But they're quite original, and I don't know, I'm just really happy to find a use for things that I probably wasn't going to use otherwise. So I hope you guys find something similar. You find a piece of fabric that you want to turn into a pattern weight. Seriously, it's totally worth it.